God. Vicky Bullett, two-time Olympian, All-American at Maryland, all-time leading scorer before those young ones came in and did some damage 20-some years later. But, oh, my God, I'm overjoyed. Thank you for coming on today to tell us about your journey.
Thanks for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to come talk with you anytime we can.
Oh my God. First of all, we gotta take a walk back. It's Friday today. This will air on a different day, but it's Friday today. So we're gonna do a flashback Friday with your journey in hoops. Now, I know a lot of women who have hooped have had older brothers and younger brothers. I know that was the case for you. But yes, what was that like growing up and in that kind of environment around sports, around all your brothers?
Well, it was all about being competitive. I was the only girl. And of course, being in the middle of six brothers, when do I get to shoot? So it was just play defense. And when you get the ball, give it to me. But my brothers were the ones that guided me into the sport and just have fun. And Vicky, enjoy it, grow. But without them, I don't think I would have loved the game as much as I would have without them.
Oh, my gosh. And you didn't just play basketball, right? I remember playing AAU against you. Didn't even know that we would be college teammates in later years. But we drove to West Virginia, and we were getting ready to play this game. And in comes Vicky Bullett with a softball uniform on, with the dirt on the knees and everything. And you were like, here I come, I'm coming in. I was like, oh my God, who is that we have to guard? And we did not do a good job of that. I know I didn't specifically, but you had softball on the docket too for you.
Yeah, Dad let us play whatever we wanted to. And, softball was one of my favorite sports. I think I kind of started playing softball first. And I remember but Christy, you did come down and beat us up with a couple 30s points on that thing, the Vogues. I remember. Yeah. And not knowing that we were ever going to be teammates. But yeah, from softball to basketball, we had that little tournament game. And I think the coaches did it because I always had to travel to Morgantown, and all the kids were from Morgantown. So they hosted the game. And here come my skinny, tall teammate in the future, Christy Winters, with her turnaround jumper and knack. I said, this skinny girl, she can't play no basketball. Well, she proved me wrong.
It was so much fun, man. Oh my God. That was just such good times back in the day. And I know, you said softball was maybe your first love, but when did you flip the switch and see that it was going to be basketball for you, and then the recruiting and everything like that? And how did you come to your decision to go to Maryland?
Well, at that time, softball wasn't as big as it is probably now for kids to go to school, but having the opportunity just to play that one sport. And I remember my brother Don said, Vic, you're not going to be you won't be able to have time to do both. So you got to stick to that and study. So then just fell in love with just the consistent work ethic that he showed and guided me. Vic, got to do this. Vic, got to do that. So, and then of course in the classroom, Vic, got to do this. Vic, got to do that. So then you just, get an opportunity to go to Clovis, Mexico and AAU. And then that's when it all started. I started getting letters from all these schools. And I was like, wow, it was amazing. Until then, nobody knew where Martinsburg was or who I was. But it was fortunate that Maryland was close enough from my home to go there. So that's the real reason why I wanted to go to Maryland. Just got to be close to family.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that means so much to you, as it did for me, which was a big reason for my decision as well. But when you go back to that recruiting process, what was the toughest part about that? And who were your final choices? Because I don't even think I know that. Who were your final choices of schools?
Well, definitely Tennessee. And I was surprised. I remember going to take a visit, and Pat Summitt came to visit my house. And I was like, this lady's going to kill me. Just the magnitude of her presence, knowing who she was. And having, I wanted to go to Old Dominion. Actually, I just love Medina Dixon and Tracy Claxton. I followed those young ladies, but it just didn't happen. It was Maryland, Old Dominion, Tennessee was a choice. And I love the school, James Madison. Not even West Virginia came up. I don't think they recruited me, but it was between Maryland and Tennessee. And again, regardless of, the coaches in their situation and their prime is winning, I couldn't go to Tennessee. I would never see my family. I'd probably transfer, be in the portal like it is today. Yeah, 1 hour and 15 minutes it takes me to get back from home. I'm going to Maryland. Plus, the school itself, Coach Weller, Gabe and Bo, they all made an impact on how important first that my education would be for me. And then basketball, which was easy, came second.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And let's walk through College Park, man. We walked through those years, 3 of them together.
Yes.
It's there. And what was the hardest part for you your freshman year? I wasn't there your freshman year, but what was the biggest adjustment for you your freshman year at Maryland?
Well, just getting acclimated to being a student athlete, was a lot more pressure on trying to keep your grades up. And, whether or not I was prepared, I just said, Miss Weller, I don't even know yet, but I need a tutor for every class. I just did not want to fail in the classroom. She goes, well, you don't need it for every class. I said, yes, I do. So I just got the opportunity just to be in the classroom, change the way I studied, because then once, school was over, then basketball just came really easy. But being able to balance them both was not hard, not any of my years that was at school. But as a freshman, as you transition, you really had to stay in tune with that. So that was just the hardest part, just trying to go in and have confidence as a student and do well.
Yeah. And I know we had those 3-hour study halls every day.
I didn't mind being there because I was always nervous.
Hey, man,
I was notes.
It's different now. I don't know. It's not mandatory. You have, if you have work to do, then you go and do it. But I remember sitting there 6 to 9 every day. We had to practice at 5:30 after being in practice for 3-4 hours because there was no time. Listen, that was my biggest adjustment.
I want to be here.
3 hours, I was done with my work, in about an hour and a half. At least I had another hour and a half to try to get ahead. And that was 30 minutes. I still had another hour. Anyway, that was a challenge for me as well. But, there was a lot of success for you, not only at Maryland, driving the Terps to the Final Four, your senior year, my junior year. Let's walk through that. And that's 29 win season for us that year. What's your biggest memory just overall? And it could be, I don't know how much you want to share, because I know
no.
that season that was so much fun for us.
Well, the thing is, I think even though we were just small, we were a small team. Miss Weller probably played only 7 players. We had a couple of freshmen on the team that were pretty much role players. So it's like, okay, we're going to train to play 40 minutes. Unless we have fouls, we're not coming out of the game. Right. So, all those suicides at the end of the season paid off. And so, you know what? Okay, Christy, you got to play high, I got to play low. Don't foul because Miss Weller's not taking us out. So, we had to work. And I think that made our chemistry better because there was not too many players that she had to rotate in that we had to adjust to. So, I mean, we were balling. And you know what? We took pride. I don't think at the time that other people knew that we were that elite, even though we had me and Dina, Christy, it was just a wonderful group. And I just think we soared and, okay, we're going to take names and beat you up. We're going to beat you down. And I think discipline had a lot to do with it too, Christy. We were very disciplined. We played within ourselves, nothing fancy. Besides Dina, she be doing some crazy nice.
She was
dictating. You know what? We stayed true to what our abilities gave us. And, that's what made us good.
Yeah. 29-3 that year. That one loss we had in the ACC, which we were in the ACC then, was to Clemson at Clemson. And that was crazy because I think it was like a 1 or 2 point game. And the previous loss was early in the season to Auburn, I believe, down there in some tournament around Thanksgiving. So we went into the Final Four at 29-2 before we faced Tennessee in that game, man. Do you remember when Dina stole the ball and went down and made some reverse crazy layup? I remember screaming my everlasting head off, and I saw spots. That's how loud I was screaming. It was packed in the Final Four, unbeknownst to all the current players who think that it was just our parents in the stands watching. It was packed out there. It was like 25,000, 30,000 people. It was so loud, raucous, and, it was an amazing moment. Pat Summitt had to call a timeout And I remember she was like yelling at them, and we were running over our timeout, and I'm bumping. You know how I was bumping up to everybody.
I know, yeah.
But I was jazz hands.
We were
I was having a moment. Yeah. Do you remember when she made that layup and Pat called that timeout? It was like 5 minutes left in the game to tie the game.
Yeah. The thing that I remember is just, I always remember us being so red, our uniforms against the orange. I don't know why that is a factor, but I see us in our red uniforms playing against everything else that is orange. And, regardless if it was Tennessee or not, they had a pretty good experienced team on that court. And, we had Carla, who was a freshman. So, she had that battle with, I can't believe I'm here, but we needed Carla. And, and you've got an Olympian, Bridget Gordon-Gardner. So what's the expectations for her? But you know what? If we had to do it all again, we would be in that same situation. But not just to highlight that Final Four, the game that we played against Texas. Now, Christy, I remember that one. That was probably more, I don't know, it was more exciting to beat them whether we lost to Tennessee. Because that was the part, they're not supposed to beat Texas because Texas was huge. But Dina and Carla went bananas on those goals. And I remember, Christy, you put in a couple buckets against somebody, 7-2?
It was huge. I was having nightmares after that because of her, man. Oh, my God. Who was it? Ellen Bear. Was that her name? Ellen Bear. And then it was
that big old girl. Yes.
Both of them were
we were playing out in the perimeter, Christy.
We were. I remember one time, we were practicing and Bo Pierman, the assistant coach, had a broom and she was blocking our shots. Because stuff was put off the broom. And we were laughing at, how I caught the game. All you do is look at me and I'm done. So
he had broom back
and stuff was coming off the broom. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was like,
supposed to shoot.
I remember Coach Weller was like, it's not gonna be funny when they're blocking shots, and I'm like, true. So that's how we trained. And I tell you what, they were huge. They had 6'8", 7'2", whatever, and then their guards were 6'4", 6'5". Point guard was 5'9".
Yeah,
and
Carissa. We were small, Christy. We were small. They were so small. But I remember what's her name? Vicky Hall was on that team. Yeah, it was. That was one of the most exciting games. I mean, Tennessee but we weren't supposed to beat Texas. That's what made it, made it better. But it was a good run for us. I tell you, good run.
It was packed in there too. It was at Texas. We had our band there in a little pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My parents were like, we're not coming until the Final Four. So they were nose to the screen watching, and how just bananas that was. It was just, what a game. Clarissa Davis was on that team. They hadn't lost a game in 2 years at home. It was we were the 9 o'clock games. We had to wait all day, remember? And we had to walk around the hotel after we ate. Coach Weller
I
was so
and butterflies from the time you woke up till 9 o'clock. That's tough. That's tough. I don't did it.
I was through. I was struggling with my stomach was waiting to play. And to win that game, and how they were all standing there with the hook 'em.
No, it's going like this afterwards.
They were going like this. And we were looking around let's cut the nets and get out of here.
Right. Cut the nets and jet out.
Yeah. It was kind of spooky, but it was, all respect. But it was 14,000, 15,000 people in there, and about 200 of the Maryland fans, including the band and a couple parents who made that trip. But really good memories. But during your time at Maryland, though, you also managed to not only make the Olympic team, but you were a bronze medalist and a gold medalist for USA basketball. How did you manage doing that, as well as being a student athlete at Maryland, doing your books and playing the way that you did? I mean, you were All-American at Maryland, Kodak All-American, you and Dina, which I was just blessed to play with you guys and learn so much and battle it out every day in practice, but battled together in those games with y'all. And I love y'all for life. But what was that like for you? What was that like with USA basketball and that challenge for you?
It's always hard because the expectations to make the Olympic team at the time for me was just to go and get experience. I was a junior, wasn't expecting to make the team at all. And you know what? My brother always said, Vicky, just play defense. You know, coaches don't have a reason to take you out of the game because you're not you're playing offense, but you're not letting other people score. So I went in, trying out for this roster, with that mentality. And, and to think, okay, I have to be that student first. And, once you're doing over the summer, and you make the roster, and it's like, okay, now I got to go back to school. And the pressure started to build up, actually. I said, Miss Well, I don't know if I can handle all of this stuff. And, but you just kind of block it out. I was afraid that my grades would suffer. But you know what? You know me, like I said, when I got there, I had a tutor for every class. I didn't want to take any chances. Just trying to make that transition. When everybody wanted to talk to you, you needed to go there to go visit. And it got overbearing for a while. And I suffered because, being over the summer, you don't get to see your family because I went from playing the Olympics right to school. So I said, Miss Well, can I go home? Can I see my family? So, and then she let me go home, and I said, this is good. I needed to be there. But it got hard. But you just got to put, what's the most important thing in front of you first. And, your support system is always your family. And they said, Vicky, you can do it just, one step at a time. And, anybody could have told you that. But when your family's got your back, your family's got your back. So, in the grace of God, of course, you listen to those two people, you can't fail.
Absolutely. Amen.
Don't let you fall. Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I remember when you flew back from the gold medal Olympic Games in '88, right? And we all went to WI to meet you at the airport. And I'm not even lying right now because I got to tell you, and you probably remember how, I know what I felt like when you walked through there. The band was there from Maryland, our entire team, coaches, everybody, and maybe some fans too, the boosters, the rebounders. We love them. They were there, I'm sure. But when you came around the corner, you had on your USA sweatsuit, white, and the gold medal was around your neck. And that's going to make me start crying right now because
Christy, stop.
I was so proud of you. It was like I was seeing, like, there was like a light around you. Like you were just, it was just amazing to know the journey and all the work that you put in to be that. A gold medalist representing the country, but in turn representing Maryland too. Like, as and I had a moment like where that one moment in time, remember that song?
Yes, and I have the picture, Christy. I have us hugging. Oh, you had a gold sweater on. I remember like it was yesterday.
I had sobbing, and it was like I was seeing, like, I don't know, like Whitney Houston or something, like my like Beyonce or something. It was just like I was outside of myself because I just knew that the work ethic is what made that moment, right? And to be embraced when you came back, what was that like to see the community there, to see you walk out with your gold medal when you got off the plane?
Well, it was surprising because, you come home and you expect no one, you just, okay, nobody knows I'm coming home, do they? I was like, no, Miss Weller must have known. But I remember seeing you, and I remember seeing Kaiser and Daphne, and we hugged Christy, and it felt so good. I said, this is my family. These are my friends. These are my teammates. And to have you guys there meant the world, because after a while you win, you want to share it. You want to share your experience. And then to have the Maryland bus. I remember going on that little shuttle bus we had. We all going back singing and everything. It was so much fun. And, not like I said, not only support from your family, but your teammates. I think we were good to each other. We didn't have those little cliques that some teammates have. When one fall, we go pick them up. And you, of course, because we wouldn't be talking today if we didn't have that relationship. So, having you guys there, it is a tearjerker to think, but how vivid we still remember that very same day and the song and what you had on. It's amazing, Christy. I love it.
No, it was so beautiful, so beautiful. You don't know how many people you inspired in that moment, including me. So I just had to say that. For sure. Just through the roof and just to the moon with the love and respect always. But in that moment, like just times a million. So I just wanted to just double back on that memory. But, you had a great professional career. After that, you went overseas in Italy. Like I was in Italy too. We were there at different times, I guess. But that was the only thing at the time, right? The WNBA wasn't there. But you played many years overseas. You were in Brazil and Italy and a couple probably other countries. But what was that experience like for you? Just if you can kind of put all of that European overseas stuff together.
Well, it allowed me to, of course, visit other culture was good. It was hard because back then, of course, we were still writing letters, no communication as far as internet and phones got, to come around, but just to continue to play the game. And, after college, you haven't really reached your peak as an athlete. I don't know a lot of people know that, but you haven't gotten there. There's still much more to learn. But just in those 15 years, you grow as a person. You learn to be humble with the things you have achieved at home because they respect you while you're overseas. And it was just a growing. I finally got to shoot threes because, Miss Waller, she wasn't letting us come off the block. No, you guys get there and play on the ball. And I got to learn to shoot 3-point shots instead of free throws. So, you get to learn to be a guard-like type of player. And then, just over time, that transferred into playing in the WNBA because you want to be that versatile player. You can't just sit on low block anymore. Candace Parker's all over the place, all those players that are versatile. And I'm just thinking, well, Miss Waller made me and Christy stay on low block, high post, high low. That's about it.
That's it.
But, yeah, just that period of time gave me strength to also respect our country a little bit more because other countries didn't have what we have and the training facilities wasn't the same. So I was grateful I had that opportunity to open. It's an eye opener in some places that I had to go to.
Yeah. And then the WNBA, you were playing in that inaugural season. And first of all, how did that come about? And then what was that experience like for you to play at home as opposed to being overseas?
Well, it didn't bother me, I guess. Having 15 years overseas, you kind of grow a family there. So having to come home, it just allowed my parents to say, well, they saw me play in college. So now, okay, this is what she looks like. Oh, she looks pretty good, So they missed all that other stuff. But yeah, coming home to be in front of maybe some fans that didn't even know who you were because you were gone for so long. So, okay, remember she played ACC, but those who follow basketball, they would know. But yeah, the transfer was more mature. We were actually considered professionals. Oh, she's a professional athlete, actually coming home versus being overseas. You're just playing basketball. At home, you're considered a professional. So the transition was good.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. And, just to kind of see where the WNBA has gone from that first inaugural year when you were playing and throughout your WNBA career, started with Charlotte, came to DC. It's just a great ride, but having already played 15 years professionally, crazy to think about that. But the opportunity presented itself for you to play on home soil. But now just flash forward to today and how the WNBA has catapulted the game just in general and the influx of European players that have come here and also the WNBA players who play year round, and the summer and also overseas. What is your take on the assessment of where the game is now and where it's going futuristically?
Well, I just think today's athletes are putting in more work. Putting more work because there's more facilities, there's more trainers, and it's not just physical, it's the mental aspect of the game. I never looked at the mental aspect because I think when I got to college, I already had it. My brother Don told me everything. Vicky, what you're doing here is not a physical act. So they're putting in that time. They're taking care of their mental health. And these ladies are staying in shape. And the only way I can stay in shape is I had to go overseas because I'll be eating cookies and cakes and wouldn't have the shape I'm in. So I was glad to go overseas and stay in shape. They are taking care of their bodies. I remember thinking of me and Teresa Edwards had played 6 seasons in the WNBA. We started every single game and never had an injury. I never had an injury in those years. My first injury was overseas. So you know what? We learned, but the game is fast. It's explosive. I don't like much of not besides when I listen to you, Christy, because you talk about the game. There's other commentators I hate to bash, but I turn the volume off because I want to enjoy the game. And, I want to hear, this, they put people against each other, but these players are phenomenal. Every single player. I have so much respect for all these young athletes. And I just love to watch the game. It's so fast. Even in college, it's the speed, I can't keep up. It's like tennis.
That's very true. It's very true. And I know, you've always had love for kids. You're in the classroom right now, done coached, you've taught classes, you've been an administrator. I mean, just, I guess, give everyone an update off the court, what you've been up to over the last several years.
Last several years, okay, I've come home, spent, of course, tremendous amount of time with family. Then, I didn't want to get back in the classroom, but with the limited amount of educators in the system, the principal here, Trent Sherman, called me up. Vicky, we have a position that's not that difficult for you to do, but it actually is. I've got to work with students who have failed classes. So it's, instructional interventions where you try to get them to recover. And then we lose a coach at the South Middle School. Vicky, could you come over and coach the team? I was like, I really don't want to. But then you do it because you don't want them, to be without. So I'm doing that. And then during the summer, I have opened up a program called Bulletproof Basketball Academy. So, and it's about development. It's not about elite AAU teams. We train the kids, mental, physical. We do community service. So my brother plays baseball in Canada, and his program is called Bulletproof Baseball Academy. So I kind of brought the program home, and it's a selective. I don't take the elite kids. I take the kids that want to learn the game, and I develop them, and that's my thing. So right now, that's what I'm doing: teaching, coaching, and just loving on my family.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Is that JJ that's in Canada?
Actually, it's Scotty.
Okay,
yeah.
I remember all the brothers.
That's okay.
But you were talking about your oldest brother. He was your high school coach, right?
Yeah, Don.
Don was your high school coach, and you were talking about how you were teaching and coaching. What was if there's one thing that he taught and coached you about, not just with basketball, but just overall, if there's one thing that you are teaching and coaching these next level players, these youngsters, what are you sharing with them that he taught you?
To share your knowledge, to communicate. I do that today. There's a lot of kids who were only cheered for certain players on the team, but you've got to lift. You got to teach the ones who need your guidance. And a lot of kids won't do that. Then you'll say, well, listen, do you know what you're doing in the play? Yes. Well, then tell Cindy, tell Susie. Don always said, just share, Vicky, because that shows leadership, and you have it, and you have the knowledge to give. So I had a tough time doing that because I didn't want to be portrayed, oh, she's a know-it-all. But no, if you share. Don't hold it back because you're a part of a team. You're not playing tennis. You're a part of a team, so share. So he did. He's like, Vicky, you know it, so say it. Every player has, every team has a player that knows, let's contribute, let's communicate. I mean, Christy, I think we did that in Maryland. We were always on the same page. We were always on the same page. I knew where you were. You knew where I was. It was just so good. And I think he kind of just, Vicky, this is it. Do this and you'll be fine. Because then that way everybody knows. He never wanted me to be singled out, and I never wanted to be singled out. So he threw me to the wolves.
No, I love that. And I will say that you taught me a lot. And I said that earlier in our conversation, but you were the consummate leader. You were the glue of our team, and you were the reason that our team was successful in that aspect, like the communication piece. Like you were the one to connect everyone, like get over here, and you would say what needed to be done. And every player had that in their own way, right? But you were the overarching leader in that regard. And it was a beautiful, just, I don't know, just the chemistry of what you were talking about was just a beautiful picture that was painted of what a team should be. And, I just want to thank you for being.
Oh, thank you. You were awesome teammate.
For me. And I remember I was a freshman and we were at Virginia, and I missed the box out, and whoever got the shot and put it right back in front of me, and we were running back the other way, and you were like, no, Christy. And I was like, I will never miss another box out, because we had to hold each other accountable, right? And there was never any animosity. I was just like, yes, I need to be better. I got to be better. And you made me better every single day. Having to practice against you was a relief for the game, guys. You were tearing me up. It was a relief for the games. I was like waiting, when's the next game? Because Vicky's tearing me up every day. But it was just a joy and a pleasure to wear this jersey, the red one. I'm don't know if that's the one that was we were wearing in the Texas game.
It was the red one.
It was the red one. But man, oh my gosh, I just want to end this. I appreciate your time. I know you're getting ready for school to resume again after the holiday break, but I know we both lost our dads, and I know they're both very proud. But if there's one thing that you can share about your dad that he taught you too, that you're carrying forward with the youth.
Yeah, so many lessons, when you speak of your parents, so many lessons. And I think sometimes things dad would, because he wasn't a very high spoken man, his presence was loud. Yes. And he didn't say a word. And when he walked into a room, you knew he was there. So, without saying things, he would say, just be you. Vicky, you don't have to say anything. Your presence speaks volumes. And I think we all kind of learned that, not just me, but my brothers. But I wouldn't have to look for him in the stands. I knew he was there. And, whether it's the smell, you just knew when Tom Bullett walked through those doors, he was there. Some parents, you walk into a gym and you look for your parents. I didn't have to. I knew he was there. So I just think, his presence spoke volumes to lead by example. You don't have to say a whole lot. Just do. Your body language feeds off, Vicky's mad, Vicky's sad, but, she's courageous in the fight. And, that's what I get from my dad. I still do that today. When I walk into the room and kids know who you are and they cheer, that's my dad. He told me you don't say anything, you just walk into the room. So his presence was important to me. Yes, amen.
Amen on that. But my dad and wore a referee shirt that had 100 correct on it, and he was out in the open with his energy. So I knew he was there because I did hear my dad all the time. You owe me one ref, and all the things. If I fouled, he would point to my mom, and when I scored, he would point to himself. So they had time in the stands. All four of them parents were great friends too during the game. So definitely miss their presence.
Yes.
Feel their being shared, and the game needs that, right? The game needs you. The kids need you and your presence, and I'm so glad we had this time to share and reflect and just reconnect. And you sent me that text saying Happy New Year, and I was like,
Christy, I always do. Every time I hear your voice, well, Mom always tells me, because if I'm busy, Mom said, Vicky, Christy's on. So I go on there because my mom always knows your voice. And I always watch the game, and I'll be texting you during your interviews. Christy's like, this woman's crazy.
No, that was so awesome. And I love when you come to Mystics games and I get to hold you and grab you. Sabrina Rivers came to the game last year. One of our teammates at Maryland too. I had to squeeze her up, and she's still strong because I think my ribs touch together like that. That's my baby now. I love Bree, but she can't breathe. Oh, my ribs connected. Hey, but so much love and so many great memories that I will take with me forever. And I just appreciate you. I love you. And I'm happy we spent a moment together today and taking the time. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too.
I love you. Thank you for joining.
Love you more, Christy. Thank you. We'll talk soon.